Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today this is the third episode in our 5-part series on preparing your business and your professional career in the coffee industry for an upcoming recession. Today, we are talking about your growth plan for your business, and that's all about customer acquisition planning. So let's do it. This podcast is brought to you by Map It Forward's new Patreon community, the Global Coffee Think Tank. Check the show notes or head to patreon.com/Map It Forward to find out how you can become a member today. Okay, so in the last episode, we talked about understanding your numbers, redo your numbers, know that you're selling your product for a reasonable price, know where you need to cut the fat, and make sure that everything has clarity around your numbers. That means that we know that we're running the business as lean as possible and we are maximizing on our opportunity to make profit if we can make the sales. The next thing that we need to do is figure out how we can get more people through the door, whether it's literally through the cafe door or virtually through our website and online stores through social media. Basically, we need to figure out how to keep getting customers to the business. And we do that through creating campaigns, sales campaigns, or marketing campaigns. In order to do that, we need to figure out, why are we going through this campaign that we're going to do? Is it to increase brand awareness? Is it to increase sales? Is it to get more people to our mailing lists? What's the point behind the campaign that we are creating? Now, this lends itself to a greater growth plan. When I work with a one-on-one consulting client, we take a look at what it is we need for the business to achieve in that year to attain the goals that they want to achieve. Going through a recession, the immediate goal is, how do I survive? The secondary goal is, how do I thrive? So in your campaign, you need to figure out, well, what are the problems that my business is having? Is it that I don't have enough traffic to my website? Is it that I don't have enough people on my mailing list to market to? Or is it that I don't have enough sales? And remember, marketing efforts take some time to actually get traction, and they all need to connect together in a well thought out plan to make happen. And this is something that we work in 3-month blocks on with consulting clients that come to us and say, can you help me improve my sales? So usually what happens with coffee clients and in the coffee industry, whether it be roasting or with cafes, is they're quite unaware of how to deliberately affect sales. And they just think that, well, if I'm open or I have a web store or I'm operating and I'm on social media and I'm doing all of these things, I will get the sales. You'll get some sales, maybe, but we want to be more deliberate about that. And the way to be more deliberate about that is through customer acquisition planning. So we have a campaign, we know what we want to achieve from that campaign, and now we've got to figure out, well, how do we make it successful? And the important thing there is going back to our PSA method that we spoke about in the first episode in this series: problem, solution, and action. So you've got to identify your customer personas. Who are the customers that are ripe for this campaign? And we work extensively with clients on identifying customer personas. And the reason behind this is it is a difficult process to qualify who your product and your brand is for and who it is not for. But once you have it, once you have a clear understanding who your customer is and who your customer isn't, then what you can do is target specific campaigns towards them. And the great thing about this method is that you're not just cold selling to people. You're not selling them things that they don't want. Because you're solving problems, you are actually helping your customers through a very challenging time. And in the next episode, we're going to be talking about some very specific options that you might be able to offer different customers to navigate this time. But if you think about your own experience and your own business strategies and put yourself in your customer's position, asking yourself, what problem does this customer have? When it comes to coffee, what problems are they having? And I assure you, the problems that they're going to have during a recession will be very different to the problems that they had during a pandemic, which are also very different to the problems that they have when there wasn't a pandemic and there wasn't a recession. And so if you're able to adapt your customer acquisition planning to solving your customers' problems, you're going to be much more proactive in your business growth strategy than you're going to be if you didn't have this. You would be reacting if you didn't have a customer acquisition plan to every shift and change that was coming. I think it's important once you have asked yourself what that problem is that you can solve for each of your customers, to go out and ask them. Pressure test or stress test what your ideas are of their problems. And look, your ability to understand their problems is going to be dependent on your capacity for empathy. When we solve people's problems, a lot of the time we're solving the problems we think they're having rather than the problems that we know that they're having. And a big part of my work with consulting clients is challenging them on why they think their clients have those problems. So being able to know for sure at the beginning of the customer acquisition planning process that your customer is experiencing the problem you think they're having is paramount to the success of customer acquisition planning. Now, when you know for sure that the problems that you're looking to solve for them are real, then you can figure out what your solution could be to that, your potential solution, whether it be one fix or 15 different fixes. Don't make it 15 fixes, but bring it more down to 1 or 2, max 3 different solutions for those things. And figure out how you can solve that problem and define it. We have a template actually that we give our clients, and they find it incredibly valuable to go through and fill in the gaps of how they can do this. And then the third thing, what's the action that your customer has to take in order to connect the problem to the solution? Once you have the PSA, then the second part of the customer acquisition plan is to figure out your marketing and sales funnel. And what that involves is, how are you going to find each of these customers so that you can market your campaign to them? How are you going to engage with them so that they want to hear more? Then you're going to figure out, or the challenge that you have then is, how do I help myself and them know whether I can solve their problem? And then you have to figure out how to convert the sale. So that's it. That's customer acquisition planning. And I wish it was as simple as I've just spoken about it then, but it's obviously a very involved process given we work with clients for 3 months on it. But that's just an in for you to figure out how you can get involved in creating your own customer acquisition plan. If we can help, reach out. We don't really have that many more spots left for the rest of this year for customer acquisition planning. But reach out, let us know if you do need any help, and if we can help, we will. Okay. In the next episode, we are going to give you some ideas on how you can solve your customers' problems. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.